Thank you very much. Great committee work this morning, and I thank you all. You all have a written report from me, anon, as they say. Main Street, just in case you are all wondering what we're really talking about here, focuses on local initiatives to revitalize Rhode Island's main streets. And Main Street is really where our population is going. People want to live, eat, work, and play all within the same area, and Main Street is where it's happening. And so we have great opportunities in Rhode Island, and we have great main streets. And the first issue of concern, and that we've raised this in the past, that we would like to see action on, is to get support and leadership for our main streets, for our cities and towns, to implement the programs that they need to grow the economies and create jobs and increase their tax revenues. Specifically, we're looking for leadership from the Commerce Department with dedicated staff to help our merchant associations, our city planners, and bring them together with some top-down leadership to coordinate and provide vision and bring people together. We're looking at alternatives so that we can look at alternatives to repurpose our buildings. We've got lots of vacancies and storefronts we want to repurpose. We need alternatives and incentives. And we also want to, through that leadership, we have bottom-up, if you will, merchants, business owners, chambers, to provide that support and innovation. Second issue of big concern goes to or around publicly funded construction projects, road closures, and business interruptions. We know that publicly funded municipal construction projects on publicly owned land have great potential to produce long-term economic benefits to the surrounding area. However, in the short term, these projects also have negative impacts on our retail stores and our main streets, harming those businesses and the surrounding communities. Much of that harm comes from disruption in traffic patterns and available parking. And what we see that happens, and one of the negative impacts, is that your population and customers go away because they can't get to the store, they can't get to the business. And we actually see changes in patterns of people in terms of what they do. So how do we handle this problem? It's called construction mitigation services. And essentially what this is making sure that we have communication and systems in place so that we know what's going on and we can mitigate the negative impacts of these types of projects which happen on a regular basis. Any of you, if you live in Providence, I know this summer, you endure all of these issues with altered traffic patterns and construction. It's our recommendation that the state require on any public construction project that the RFP require a communication plan, that the RFP require that there be a conversation and plan set up between the construction company, the city, and the business owners so that we can mitigate the impact. The next recommendation Main Street discussed, which is a little bit off of Main Street, I suppose, but last year I had the opportunity to talk about craft brewery. This year I was given the opportunity for our committee to discuss marijuana. What can I say? There are two issues, or there are two subjects of concern. One is marijuana in the workplace, and the other has to do with the burgeoning emergence of a recreational marijuana industry in this state. Let's first talk about, our first recommendation has to do with marijuana in the workplace. Rhode Island does have a law on the books with respect to medical marijuana, and it does have a provision having to do with what you can and can't do, as it were, as an employer. Unfortunately, the law lacks specificity in terms of what an employer in fact can do or not do. It doesn't, from a legal perspective, as a lawyer, we're not defining what discrimination means. So our recommendation is to provide guidance to our employers on two fronts. One is that it would not be a violation of existing Rhode Island law to prohibit the use of marijuana on the job in safety-sensitive positions. And likewise, and with respect to federal employers in Rhode Island, that their requirement on mandatory drug testing and absolute prohibition of marijuana use would also not be a violation of the Rhode Island Act. There are other regulations obviously impacting many other things with respect to marijuana, but in terms of what impacts the small business owner, if you will, and things of import, we felt that this was an important step to take as we move forward with our legislation generally in marijuana. Last but not least, with respect to the burgeoning new biggest business opportunity, which is recreational marijuana, and the possibility that we may pass legislation in the near future that would legalize recreational marijuana in the state of Rhode Island. It would be the thought and request of the small business community that we have a seat at the table, because there are many issues in terms of the structuring of that industry that will impact the small business owner, as well as the opportunities within our community, specifically supply chain management and distribution. All of those are big business opportunities for our small businesses, and we'd like a seat at the table. Thank you.